So with so many different no-code tools out there, you might be thinking, how do you make sense of the entire landscape? How do you think about different no-code companies and how to categorize their different capabilities, basically? So this is a very rough framework. It is not meant to be scientific at all, but it's something that I came up with just to help me better understand the different companies out there. And the framework basically divides no-code capabilities into three categories. On the one hand, you have design, which means designing basically a front end or a web page that can be live on the web. The second bucket is data, working with data visually, getting more out of your data. And the third bucket is logic. So how do you express logical statements like, if this happens, then this other thing should happen. Or if the user does this, then X, Y, and Z should happen. So this is a very rough framework. And you can begin to start categorizing no-code companies based on this Venn diagram. So if we start with design, this is really where a lot of really the first generation of no-code tools started. So you have a lot of big names here like WordPress and Wix and Squarespace. You have also a new generation of these kinds of tools. Landon and Card with 2 R's are 2 examples of much newer startups that have just amazingly beautiful experiences for designing beautiful web pages. And those are all very cool tools. You also have some big names like Webflow and Shopify, which definitely help a lot with design. And they also begin to go a little bit into the data bucket as well. With Webflow, you not only are able to create a beautiful landing page, but you can also connect it with basically a CMS. So you could create something like a blog, and that is very much working with data. And Shopify, some people may not think of Shopify when they think of no-code, but what Shopify is doing is allowing people out there to very easily create e-commerce web experiences. So you can not only design what your online store looks like, but of course, an online store has a lot of data backing it. You need data about the products, you need data about the transactions, and Shopify really tries to simplify a lot of that, and they've been super successful at doing so. So that's kind of very broadly the design bucket. There are also some pretty notable names in the data category. So, of course, Airtable is a giant here. They have a beautiful product that makes working with data very fun. You have players like Coda. And I also wanted to mention a really cool startup that we've had the pleasure to partner with called Pelterion. They are building a no-code tool for building machine learning models. And so, it was only a matter of time for no code to impact machine learning, and they are doing a pretty good job of it. And if we look at the third bucket of logic, you have some notable names here like If This and That and Zapier. And these tools are really interesting. They sort of approach no code from yet another different direction because they let you connect different data sources. They have their own user interface, of course, to set up their connections, but they don't really help you create a web presence or a web page, so to speak. But they're doing a lot of works behind the scenes to implement the kind of logic that you might want for whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. And then, of course, there are players who are trying to mix the different buckets. So Bubble is an example here, as we will dive into in a little bit. But there are also some other players trying to play in this space as well. So we have folks like Adalo and Glide. They also have beautiful products. They're quite good at what they do as well. And so it is by no means a monopoly in any sense. There are a lot of tools out there that are providing users the kind of no-code capabilities that this movement really promises.